Hello and welcome back. In this video we're going to look at solar heat pump performance and cost stats for April 2026. So, been a great month for solar. According to my stats, the second best April since I had solar installed back in 2018. Heat pump wise, COP, so coefficient of performance for heating was over 470%. It really helps in when the milder weather comes along. The solar generated more electricity than the heat pump used through the whole of April, so that's really good. My electricity bill was just £10 for the whole month because of the importing and exporting, and that was despite putting almost 1,000 miles into the EV. So it's been a great month from cost point of view. So before we dive into all the stats, and I'll share my screen and we can look at all the really deep dive stuff. If you could like the video and subscribe, that would really help. I looked at the stats for last time, the last one of these I did, and only 64% of people were not subscribed. So come on, press the button. It's free and it'll help you get notified for the next time. So with that, let me share my screen and we can get into the stats. Just bear with me. So here we go. This is the Energy Stats website, my website. And just a reminder then what we're dealing with house-wise. 5.1 kilowatts of solar installed in 2018 on a 3.68 solar edge inverter, 17 300 watt panels. What are we up to now? 450s, 500s? It's crazy. There's a bit of a history of all the other stuff I've had put in, the journey along the way. 5 kilowatt heat pump, heat losses around just shy of 4 kilowatts, 16 kilowatt hours of battery. The house, 1930s, 3-bedroom, semi-detached in Sheffield, 2 adults, 2 kids, 2 teenagers. I should update that really. So yeah, we get through a lot of water. And there's some more information about the installation and various other bits and pieces. There's links to articles there about the retrofit, the fabric retrofit that I've done, and the heat loss and stuff. And so you can take a look at those. I'll link every article that we go through here. I'll link to in the show notes. So, solar generation. This has its own page going right back to 2018. Let's skip all the previous years and let's get straight into 2026. So here we can see April 2026, 590 kilowatt hours of electricity generated from the solar this month. Brilliant month, averaging almost 20 kilowatt hours a day. We consumed in total 949 kilowatt hours, imported 879 kilowatt hours, and exported 520 kilowatt hours. And if we come down to the April comparison, we can see here that 590 is the second best. Oh dear, I didn't want to press that. The second best month behind last April, which was 602. You can ignore 2024, that was a bit of an outlier as I had a panel down that year. But yeah, all pretty solid. 500, 586, 570, 500, 440. It's a bit, you can't guarantee anything with the British weather, so some months you'll get really good generation, some you'll get not so good, but they all come around in the same ballpark, so that's tremendous. So I've added a new chart. Let's go down to this one. It's solar versus heat pump, and it starts in 2023, and it shows you month by month how much the solar generated and how much the heat pump used each month, just to give you a flavour of how much the solar can cover the heat pump in terms of generation and usage. So in April, the heat pump used 198 kilowatt hours and solar was 590. So when you go back and look at the figures, let's look at last year. Once you get, there's only a number, it's only like January, February, November, December, where you can't generate, at least my system can't generate enough to cover the heat pump. But for the rest of the year, it completely covers it, which is why I say a heat pump is a no-brainer if you've got solar. The other items that I track on a monthly basis are the fridge freezer, the washing machine, the heat pump tumble dryer, the dishwasher, the induction cooker, the EV charging. So I've got sections here for washing machine every month, tumble dryer, so you can really dig into those if you're interested in what those individual appliances use. EV's interesting here, 237 kilowatt hours, so 237 kilowatt hours times an efficiency of 4 miles per kilowatt hour, so 948 miles added that in the month. We've got 2 EVs, so that's really good. And then there's heat pump stats here. This is a useful table as well. This is every month of every year going back to 2019. I've just put all the solar generation stats in one place so you can see about that consistency across each month from my setup. Let's jump over to heat pump performance. So similar to the solar generation performance stats, I keep heat pump performance stats, and this is going back to October 2022 when I had the heat pump installed. We've got full year stats here. We've got the monthly summary, a bit like the solar one, of how much electricity the heat pump used, and then we've got month by month. So let's drop down to 2026. April 2026, 198 kilowatt hours used, which generated 746 kilowatt hours, which gave me a COP, so coefficient performance, of 3.8. 746 divided 198 is 3.8. And when we split that off into heat and hot water COP, you can see here that a heat was 4.7, so 470%, and the hot water was 3.1. I've got the temperatures here, so the outside low across the month was 0.4, the outside average was 9.8, and the high was 20.7, with an average indoor temperature of 19.8. And then the split here of the amount of heat required, 56% of that was required for space heating, so keeping the house up to temperature, and 44% of the heat generated by the heat pump was done for hot water. The other table I've got is monthly comparisons, so we can see from month to month to month through each year what the COP looks like over time, a comparison of temperatures, and just general month to month comparison stuff, so you can see maybe see trends over time, and so that's useful. And as we add more months, that data becomes even more valuable. And the final one on the heat pump is, I like to compare the onboard Vaillant monitoring. So you get the app, or you can do it from the heat pump controller and get the performance figures that the Vaillant suggests is happening. But because I've got Open Energy Monitor and I've got a heat meter and it's all billing grade, I like to do that comparison. So if we look at April 2026, here is the Open Energy Monitor so this side is heating and this side is hot water. So we've got heating, so the COP from Open Energy Monitor, 4.7. The Vaillant working figure, which is a calculation done on the main controller, comes out at 4.5, and the calculation from the Vaillant app on the phone is 4.5. So pretty consistent, 4.5 to 4.7. I'm not too worried about how that discrepancy. And then on the water side, 3.1 from Open Energy Monitor, 3.1 from the working figure, 3.1 from the Vaillant app. So really happy how they've lined up this month. And if we go back, I'm very lucky that my system is pretty consistent in that, but I know from lots of people on Open Energy Monitor that theirs isn't quite as consistent. Sometimes it over-reports, sometimes it's under. It's usually to do with the temperature probes and how well they've been attached at the factory. So let's jump over to Open Energy Monitor. Here is the entire month of April. So you can see the breakdown here of space heating and water heating, with space heating showing 4.7 COP. So we used 80 kilowatt hours of electricity to generate 375 kilowatt hours of heat. So yeah, 4.7 is pretty spectacular, really, into it. And you can see the flow temperature, the average flow temperature across there was 28 degrees in the rads, which is crazy. And then water heating, COP not as good because we take the hot water higher it goes to around 50 degrees because I want the water at 45. And also for the entirety of 2026, I'm running in normal Vaillant hot water mode, which is the full beans, full compressor, get it done as quick as possible. I'm doing that as a test. So let's go and look at the coldest day of April, which wasn't really that cold, was it? Minimum 0.3, so it went cold overnight, as you can see here. And then warmed up to 13 degrees in the day, which is typical April day, isn't it? You have a cold morning and then it warms up in the afternoon. So on this day, space heating was still achieved a COP of over 4 for that day. So that was pretty good. So you can see here, Haven-wise, really ramped up the flow temperature in the morning to get the indoor temperature up to 20 degrees for first thing in the morning when we wanted it, and then it just maintained through the rest of the day. These two big spikes here are the hot water runs, and then once the temperature was like 12 degrees here, it just the heat pump came on every 90 minutes and just poked a little bit of heat back in the house. And this is where you get these crazy sort of little spikes of performance. Let's have a quick look at this one. So yeah, it ran for, what's that, 4:30 it ran for 15 minutes, just came on, ramped the flow temperature up to 28, put a bit of heat in, so it put 3 kilowatts in there, settled at 2.3, ran for 15 minutes, used just 330 watts of electricity there, and we ended up with a COP of 5.9 almost for that little run. Like in spring and in autumn, the heat pumps are just amazing. And this is where you get your seasonal coefficient performance. Yes, on very cold days you might be down at 2.8, but you've got to think that those 2.8 days are very rare in the UK, and it's these spring and autumn days when it's 10 degrees, 12 degrees, 8 degrees, when you get these really good efficiencies. And then over the entire year is when you can take a step back and look at how did it perform across the whole year. So next we'll look at the amount of electricity used and at what price and how much it costs me. So a great app I use for this is Octopus Watch. It's a phone app, but it can produce these really cool reports for you. So you can see here the amount of energy I purchased was almost £58, but the amount of energy I sold back to the grid was £65, and my standing charge was nearly £19. So as it says, my cost was £10 for the entire month. If we scroll down to this graph, The blue lines indicate when I import energy, so I was importing overnight into the batteries at the current rate, which is 5.2p on Intelligent Go, but that's going to go back up to around 8p next month, or this month now, we're in May. The orange lines indicate export times. So when I sent energy back to the grid. So through the whole of April, I've been on agile export, where it changes in line with wholesale price. So I have PredBat running, which is a Home Assistant plugin that looks at the day ahead, the amount of solar I'm going to generate, the amount of heat I might use depending on the outside temperature, and then it also looks at the pricing of both the import tariff and the export tariff and makes a plan for the day. So it will have imported here overnight cheap. The morning export would have been favourable to export back to the grid. No doubt solar would have then kicked in here, and then come 4 o'clock the export price would have gone high again and it would have started exporting back to the grid. These black lines here show where I imported at some other times. I would imagine this is getting early slots in Intelligent Octopus Go, but most apps can't differentiate between cheap slots outside the 6 hours of Intelligent Go. So you end up, I think I've probably spent a little bit less than this, because some of these darker periods here from 8:30 onwards would probably have been at a cheaper rate. So yeah, really cool report here. As you can see, imports, exports, and then the unit rate says that my average import rate was 6.5 pence for the entire month, and my average export rate was 12.5. So above the fixed 12p, not by much. But I also think that because I'm exporting when the wholesale price is high, here in the morning and here in the evening, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. So importing at the right time, exporting at the right time. And as the Energy Unwrapped podcast episode I had with Alex from Octopus, this is probably the direction of travel long term. So I'm happy to be testing that out. One thing I'm frustrated about with the exports is that my battery system is quite old, so it's not compatible with tools like Axle Energy. Axle Energy is a tool that you can attach to your battery system, and during these peaks when the grid needs it, you can get paid up to £1 per kilowatt hour. I've got a page here on the website that explains all about how it works and what batteries are compatible, and there's also a referral link there if you want to join and get a £25 bonus. They say, Axel say, there's a guaranteed minimum of £10 per month that you can earn when you're involved with them, and this is on top of your existing export rates, so it's well worth exploring. Like I say, I'll put the link in the show notes so you can come over to this Axel Energy page on the website and find it. One final graph that I missed that I wanted to put in with the solar stuff is that my best day in April was this one, the 29th, so at the end of the month, where I generated a whopping 30 kilowatt hours in one day, which for my system is pretty good. My best ever, I think, day is 31 or something. So yeah, that was a really cool day. As you can see, there's a bit of clipping here because I've reached this peak here, this top, but it's not too bad. So yeah, 30 kilowatt hours, really happy, all good. So let me stop sharing my screen. So good. Hope you found that useful. I love all these figures. I love collecting all this stuff. Like I said earlier, like and subscribe. It really helps. If there's any stats you want me to talk about next month that I missed on this month or the previous one, put them in the comments, give me some ideas, and I can make this a bit more interesting than just me talking lots of numbers. Keep an eye out for the Energy Unwrapped podcast. We've had some really cool guests on recently, and we've got more to come. I'm really enjoying doing that. So I think that's about it for this one. With that, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.